is, again, seeing the universe in a new way that while we expected we could be able to do this, to actually see it for the first time, internalize it, tells me that everything we've planned through cycle 1, the astronomical community, was bold, but it wasn't bold enough. So I'm really excited for what people now plan to do for the second cycle, seeing just how capable the facility is. So for me, the closest thing would be Hubble, when it was repaired and we saw everything kind of snap into focus. I don't know about others, Klaus.
Yeah. To me, I'm not comparing to an astronomy mission, but almost. So one of my favorite pair of missions were the Voyager missions, right? Launched about the time that I was born, still going. And I remember growing up, being a kid and seeing, a few years in between those first high-resolution images of the outer planets. And it's one of the things that brought me into astronomy today. So I think that's what reminds me the most of.
If you enjoy Astronomy FM radio, please let us know with a small donation. We do rely on your support, and it's true. Every little bit counts.
AFM. You are listening to a universe of possibilities. This is Astronomy FM.
Coming up next, an Astronomy.fm original program. It's time for York Universe, a co-production of the Observatory of York University, Toronto, and the Voice of Astronomy.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode. I knew I was going to blow that. Welcome to a very special episode of York Universe, the astronomy and astrophysics program written and presented by the students, faculty, alumni, and there's a lot of good friends at York University who are on the line tonight. This is our 500th episode. I will be one of your many hosts tonight. We'll introduce the rest of them very, very shortly. We take up the entire show if I got you all to say something right now. So hold the line here, folks. We are going to introduce you all, rest assured. We are broadcasting live, and I do mean live, from the Alan I. Carswell Observatory, located at York University in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And of course, it is Science Night in Canada, where the lineup is entirely Canadian, starting with ourselves, York Universe, on to Western Worlds, and the very first episode of Western Worlds, no less, tonight, Quirks and Quarks, not to mention Science for the People. York Universe broadcasts every Monday night at 9 p.m. local Toronto time, which of course is Tuesday morning, 1 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Yes, very early in the morning. The York Universe production works in concert with our online public viewing program run by the Observatory team, and there are many of them available for tonight's show as well. It runs, of course, between the hours of 9 and 10 o'clock here, Toronto local time. By all means, turn your favorite web browser to observatory.info.yorku.ca. Follow the links to OPV, online public viewing, and join the chat. Or, of course, pop over to the YouTube channel. Not a problem. Our broadcast is powered by and is in partnership with Astronomy.fm, the voice of astronomy, and a big tip of the hat to the entire EFM team for the 500 episodes. If you've got any questions or comments about past shows or suggestions for future topics, by all means, send us an email, observe@yorku.ca. You can always connect with us on Twitter or Instagram with the handle at York Observatory, at York U Observatory, and Facebook at Alan I. Carswell Obs. All of our programs are free, but if you would like to make a donation, use our website and find that big, friendly donate button. We will be monitoring the chat room for questions, and we will be posting comments. The weather forecast, they knew we had 500 coming up. It is a beautifully clear and mild evening here in Toronto, so there will be terrific imagery coming at you from the Observatory team. Let me welcome the director of the Alan I. Carswell Observatory to the line. I'm hoping she's floating around. Elena, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Why don't you say hello to the folks?
We are, in fact, here live up in the 1 meter brand new dome. I am here with two extra fabulous people, Julie.
Hello.
And Jesse.
Hey, everybody.
And we have Dorsa and Sana in the warm room. So we are, in fact, well and truly live on site tonight.
Lots of good folks and lots of action at the observatory domes. That's terrific. Let me bring the other folks who are online. Ted, are you with us?
Yep, here and present. Great to be back for a bit.
And from almost day one, if not day one. So you'll have to reminisce a little bit there, Ted, when we get to you. So hold that thought for just a moment. Leanne, are you with us?
I am. Hello, Paul.
Hi, nice to have you back on York Universe. It's been a while.
It has. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, our pleasure. Our pleasure. Ian. Ian?
Hi. Hello.
There you are. Mr. Astrophotographer himself. How are you this evening, Ian?
I'm well. How are you, Paul?
Oh, excellent, excellent. After 500 episodes, I'm not even tired. What can I say? It's great. Hold that thought.
Good to be here with you.
Yes,
Right.
I'm glad you could make it. Glad you could make it. Shah, are you still with us?
I am. I'm still here in the York universe.
That's very good indeed, the York Universe. That works out very well. It's been a few years since you have been with us as well.
It has. I was on mainly from 2014 to 2019, but I'm glad to be back. Thank you, Paul, for the call. Happy to be here for the 500th.
Excellent indeed. Did I miss anybody? Did anybody sneak in on the call when I wasn't watching?
I do believe Dr. John came in for a bit.
You there, John?
I am indeed, Paul. Great to be.
Thanks, Ted. How are you, Dr. John?
I'm very well. Yourself?
Excellent, excellent. We actually even plugged your show, Western Worlds, at the beginning. Episode number 1 is playing straight after us.
Oh, a classic.
That was what Rob said as well. Very good indeed. Glad you could make it for the evening, sir. Before I give everybody their opportunity to sort of, bring back their favorite memory, if you will, or reminisce in a way that they would like, Rob, are you with us? Our ever-ready technical support from AFM.
I sure am, Paul, and it's hard to believe that we started all this back in 2010. It's interesting to hear Ted here because he was on one of those, but I did want to let people know that we are going to start bringing some of those very old episodes, the ones that are not, that didn't suffer from technical issues, back to play on Monday nights at some point, a couple weeks from now or so. We'll start to intersperse some, but it's great to be back, and it's quite an accomplishment. Back to you, Paul.
Thanks very much, Rob. We certainly couldn't have done this without all of the technical support, both yourself as well as Michael Forrester, because he was our tech support for many, many a year as well. So a big tip of the hat to AFM. Ted, I know you've got to leave fairly early on. Do you want to kick off the reminiscence?
Oh, certainly. For all those out there, I'm now a day walker working at a solar observatory, meaning I have to be up at 4 a.m., so I'll have to duck out early. My apologies. But I am trying to recall if our show started first at York University, and I cannot remember if it was 2009 or early 2010. I do remember it coincided with the 400th anniversary of the invention of the telescope, and there was some money that came down for us to buy Webb cameras and things to throw on the telescopes, and we had a really good crew on the observatory, including Ian, shout out, the kind of guy who you teach astrophotography to, and he'd come back 2 weeks later and outdo you. But I wanted to say, before I go, that as much as a bunch of us here today got the ball rolling, and thank you, Paul, because you gave us 100% support, as well as the people at Astronomy FM. As much as we got the ball rolling, we didn't keep it rolling. I have to say, I have to give a shout out to everybody who has come after me all the way up till today. You guys are the reason we got to 500 episodes. I spent my year or two strutting on the stage and I ducked out, but you guys kept the ball rolling. So hats off to all of you.
Sums it up very well, Ted. It was 2009 was the International Year of Astronomy, and that's when we actually did start the online public viewing. But I think you'll find that it was in 2010 when you and Marty went live from York U. So I think it was in 2010 when the first actual broadcast happened. But online public viewing, doing imagery from the telescope, that did in fact start in 2009.
Yeah, and I'll just give an extra little shout out here as well. Those old episodes are actually on the archive that's on the website now. So if you ever get nostalgic, you can always go back and play them.
Or need to cure insomnia, whichever you prefer. Well, let's face it, we've got 12-year-old astronomical history at that point. But you're absolutely right, Elena. All of them, you work very hard along with members of the observatory team to get them all racked and ready to roll.
And they're quite fun. You'll still see them on repeats on cloudy nights once in a while, or if there's a astronomy.fm outage, we play them all the time. It's great stuff. You guys should be proud, and we are all happy to be able to have made it up to 500, I'm sure.
Ian, seeing Ted throughout to you, what was your sort of favorite recollection, and roughly when were you one of our hosts? Do you remember? Ian?
Hey, Ian, do you remember ordering pizza to the Dome and they always got lost?
Wait, you're not supposed to have food up
Sorry,
here.
it's the usual modern day problem. I was on mute. Okay,
so
you can all hear me now?
Yep. Favorite recollection there, Ian?
All right. Yeah. So I was on the OPV team right from the beginning, along with Ted. I never actually did do the radio show. I think I did a brief pre-recorded shout out for your 10th anniversary back in 2019. I think it was. But other than that, I wasn't involved in the radio part of things. But yeah, I was always doing the imaging. And actually, up on OPV right now, I see the picture of the 60 centimeter telescope there and the dome.
There you go. Yep. It's
and
still with us.
I do recall taking that picture. It was a lot of help from Ted and quite a few other people.
Oh yes.
To rotate the dome while I snuck up onto a certain roof and took that picture.
Yeah, well, and as your picture has inspired us, that dome has in fact disappeared.
Yes, I heard it.
I do, though, have a memory, Ian, distinctly of you running around with a hard hat I stole for you with a webcam duct taped to it.
Oh,
for our
yes,
200th episode.
I remember that. Yeah.
This is in the days before GoPros, our homemade GoPro.
We inspired the GoPro.
I remember that. I do remember that. That's for sure. Leanne, seeing we're waltzing down memory lane, what's your favorite recollection?
Oh, I would have to say just some of the early days of planning out all of the segments really early on. I know Ted, you were probably the biggest driver in those early days, but kind of the evolution of that into driving the show notes and doing research. And I like the behind the scenes stuff, honestly. I think I realized that quickly very early on into the show that I like driving that stuff and not so much being in the spotlight. So I think my fondest memories are around doing all those show notes and doing a lot of research and planning out those segments with all the team members.
She was a very good compliment to my attention whoring.
You are a lovely speaker. I definitely do not have the same sort of skills that you do, Ted.
You say that, but we still have your video clips for how to utilize the telescope for solar observing.
I know. You all managed a way to get me to do that, and I've definitely run across people whenever I was back at York, and they were like, "Oh, I know you," because I had to do all the documentation for that, and that's fun. That's great. I like having that.
You're famous.
Apparently. But I think that, and then the 100th episode, when we did a huge thing on premises. I think it was 100 episode, but it was one of the early milestones, and we all came in and met in person, and it was a very fun night. I very much enjoyed that one.
It was a 2-hour episode, that one, if memory serves. Elena, you've got folks in the dome. Do you want to hand the microphone to one of them so that they can chime in here with their early thoughts?
Yes, indeed. Well, as we like to say, everything old is new again, but we've got, both old and new fun memories to share. So I've got both Julie and Jesse here with me. I'm Julie's closest, so.
Sure, but I think we should pass it to Jesse because he predates me on this.
Oh, is that what
He does.
Oh my gosh.
You're old, Jesse. You're old.
I know.
It's funny because I'm older than Jesse, but
I blinked and now, yes. It's good, and following on Leanne as well is a good, because Leanne, you mentioned all that behind the scenes stuff. And I remember, because Leanne and I shared an office down, I can't even remember the number. What was it, 329? 329.
No, excuse me.
328?
Thank you.
328.
You could not have my office, Jesse. Sorry.
329 was everyone's office.
That was everyone's office.
That's true too.
That's true.
Leanne and I and a few others shared that office over the years, and I remember there's a big whiteboard in there, Leanne, and I remember one day we were mapping out the timeline of the show. We were thinking, oh man, like how do we really structure this? What should we do first? What should we do second? How long should these segments be? How many segments should we have? And we had like a timeline, and I have to wonder if it's still written on that board. I'm gonna have to go and check because that board never got erased very often. So I wonder if it's still on there. But so just the evolution, speaking to what Leanne mentioned, is I remember when Rob and I and Leanne were doing these shows and Ted were doing these shows, what I would do, and I don't know what the other hosts would do, but what I would do is take a scrap piece of paper that I found on my desk, and I would like hit up Universe Today before they did a revamp, and I would be like, what's kind of cool to talk about? And I would literally have jot notes, like pen-written jot notes on like the back of an envelope, and that was our show notes. And then I was like, I should probably type some of this out. And eventually, like a month or two later, I had typed ones. And then we started doing the full-on Google Drive, synced up everything. And the one thing, the memory that I have, Paul, that I can really is the start of every show. Every single time we start that show, this show gets started, we have the opening segment, the opening sequence that we say, where we're like, hello, everybody. Welcome to York University, the astronomy program written and presented by the students, faculty, alumni, and darn good friends of York University. Me, Leanne, Ted, and Rob, we all wrote that. Like, I don't know, like 8, 9, 10 years ago. And it's still being used today. And I love that. It's like a testament to the longevity and the work that everybody's doing. So that's my favorite memories.
I honestly had a bit of a flash from the past when, Paul, you were saying it. I was like, oh my gosh, this, every word.
Why change something that works? I mean, really? It's very true. It's very true. Julie.
Yes. Present.
Go for it.
Oh gosh. So I joined like 2014-ish, I want to say. And it's been a wild ride. It's been a fun ride. It's a ride I intend to continue being on till I don't know when. Whenever y'all call it quits, I guess.
Never.
Well, I guess I'll just keep doing it then, no matter how much grief my children give me for it.
That's why she's in the dome tonight, folks, by the way.
It's just my son. He's just like, you're on the radio again. I'm like, it's once a month, kid. Yeah, it's, I remember like my first night on, I was nervous as all get out. And now it's just like, yeah, I'm going on the radio tonight. And I'm going to have some fun conversations with whoever's there. And I like doing the Julie and Elena show. That's been fun. I feel like the Julie and Elena show could probably run 2 hours most episodes.
If we're not careful, yeah.
If we're not careful, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Both your respective partners might have something to say about that, not to mention your children.
They might. I feel like Rob might have something to say about that too. It's just fun to like, take some time, every few weeks and dive into the space news and write some stuff up and come online and talk to some like-minded nerds.
Under beautiful, shiny new domes.
I am so excited. You don't understand. I had not seen the scope yet.
In person.
In person.
Yeah.
So I'm like here, like kind of like poke.
Yeah.
Poke, touch.
And we will be playing some of those shortly, I think. We have some telescope sounds, because this is a radio show after all. We will be sort of showcasing the various sounds of the new dome.
Thank you very much indeed. Look forward to those extra sounds. Speaking of sounds, no segue needed there. Shah.
Hey, Paul. So my one, it's great to hear everybody's voice again. My favorite memory. So like I said, my first show was May 12th, 2014, and I did it for about exactly 5 years. I think the last official show I did was in May of 2019, going out in a dramatic fashion, of course, as is known for me. And I recall, so hats off to Jesse. The reason I got involved in the show was a conversation I had with Jesse on the bus on the way to York. We happened to see each other where it was a crowded bus as usual. I don't even remember which one it was. It might have been the 60. It might have been one of the Rockets. And I saw Jesse, so we started chatting, and he was telling me about the York Universe radio show. He's like, yeah, come by. We're having a meeting. This was now sometime in February, and there was pizza involved. And I'm like, of course, there's pizza involved. There's science involved. I'm there. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm signing up for this. This is great. I can't wait to get involved. That moment really stuck out for me, but a really, really, really fun moment was shortly after that, we celebrated the 200th episode. And what we did is we went around getting footage from every host at that time, or all the hosts up until that date, kind of talking about their favorite memories in York Universe. And we kind of put a little something together, a little montage. That was a fun memory, and I'd have to say just being on the call with everybody. There's a lot of great energy, and kind of the pre-show notes scramble when everybody's inside of the sheet together, typing frantically away to get all the notes rounded out. I really love that moment as well. So it's been a great time on the show. And then I ended up being there again for the 400th episode soon after I stopped. So it was like, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in, just like Corleone said.
You're never leaving.
Exactly.
Find out anytime you want.
That's right. Isn't there a song like that?
There has to be, yeah.
Shaw, I don't remember the bus trip, but I do remember the conversation. I remember chatting with you because you're always like, we always talked, and we chatted all the time in the halls and at like
right.
journal clubs and stuff, and I was like, yeah, come on by, why not? Let's do this.
Yeah, it was the bus. It was one of those crowded York buses that I don't think anyone wants to get caught in anymore these days.
They went with the
subways.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
The subway is awesome.
Yeah. We went from take the car to ride the rocket again.
I'm going to cut in here because I believe Sarah is with us now, Sarah Mazrui, and she is on a tight timeline. Sarah, welcome to the 500th.
Sarah! Hooray!
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
It's so exciting to be here for the 500th episode. I've been listening in. It's so good to hear everyone and sort of go back in time, especially because I feel like I have no recollection of the before times. It's like it's just all gone from my memory. But it's good to hear everyone.
You enjoyed yourself, though. You mightn't remember it, but you had a good time.
I did have a good time. I do remember that much, and I had to pull up my CV just to see like the timeline that I was on the show because my memory doesn't work anymore. And it was actually from 2015 to 2020, so almost 5 years. I can't believe it was actually that long.
And let me also just move in here, and Elena, this will warm your heart. Sarah, when did you first join the York Observatory team?
Oh my God. I think it was in 2004 or 5.
As
a co-op student, high school co-op student.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
That's exactly right. So what was that comment about you can check out, but you can never leave?
It's true. I can never leave, and the observatory will always hold a very special place in my heart, even though I did betray everyone a little bit and switch to planetary science. I still think it's a little bit cooler than astronomy alone, but
We love
100%.
planets. We love planets. It's all good.
Hey, speaking of planets, that was a great segue, Sarah. Thank you very much for that. Dr. John, our own Dr. John, the planetary specialist.
That's right. That's me. And one of the interesting things I think of my time on the show is, it's kind of hard for me to put some rigid boundaries on it. I think I started not long after it began. But, I've never was really the center of things. So I was always just, in orbit, some days, some years closer to perihelion, some years maybe more like aphelion, doing a few shows here and there. And it was a really wonderful experience, and perhaps it'll continue to be on perhaps a less frequent basis, a good experience. And of course, good inspiration for things like Western Worlds. Which we started, I think, back in 2011, which was exciting, with a lot of help and advice from you, Paul, and from an inspiration from all the other wonderful people who've made this show what it is over the years. Now, in terms of, since everyone's talking about sounds, you probably remember the period when I was doing shows, from my apartment overlooking the 401 and Yonge Street, which for those people...
Yes.
Who aren't in Toronto, those are very busy places. So, I was, taking it seriously to give us the proper urban background noise whenever I was on.
I remember many traffic signs.
Beautifully accompanying the light pollution.
Sums it up very well, although the light pollution was at least quiet. Very good. Okay, I think I might have made it around everybody. Has everybody, well, Elena, you haven't actually given your 2 cents here.
Well, I have to say that, being a little bit biased by the gigantic, awesome, super shiny new domes, this is quickly becoming my favorite thing that's happened. I did manage to miss the installation of the 1 meter telescope by only 2 months, I believe, when I was first arriving into Canada, and I was so sad that I missed the vision of that 1 meter flying through the air. But the 1 meter telescope, its primary mirror is 1 meter across, and the new domes we did get to see, those are 20 feet 6 inches. So I'm feeling like it's all come around, and these 6,000 pound awesome shiny wonders. I can't wait to start hooking up the rest of the computer controls. They're right now partially hooked up, and it is just too exciting. So I think that's going to be my new favorite memory for the observatory for probably quite a while.
I think there are many people on this call who will remember back to the days of the Red Devil box and the challenges associated with pointing the 60 centimeter telescope. Anybody care to jump in?
I still have that photo of the night that it malfunctioned, and it was literally reading 666. I still have a photo of that.
Did we ever attack it with hammers?
We didn't attack it with hammers, although when we there was a ceremony when we lifted it off the wall, and several of the current observatory team members were overly enthusiastic about taking it down to the loading dock and dropping it in the dumpster.
For those of you out there who aren't familiar what we mean by Red Devil box, just think of that printer from that Office Space movie.
Yeah,
feels good to be a gangster.
You would be tracking somewhere, and then all of a sudden, one of the the declination numbers would just switch to a different number, and that's it. That's you're done. So you'd have to potentially recalibrate the entire telescope, and it'd be an hour wasted. Yeah, it was fun.
What about punching in the coordinates with that keypad?
Yes, you had to push just hard enough, but not too softly. And if you didn't get it in quickly enough, because you had to like, okay,
It was time.
Here's my get off my lawn moment. All right. So back in my day, not a thing was automated in the observatory. So yes, that is the box right there. Sorry, I there's a picture shared on the call that nobody who's listening out in radio land can see. But anyways, so there was a little program that had been written by one of the other observatory staff. So we would calculate the hour angle, I believe, or we used the hour angle to calculate the declination, whatever. So long ago, I don't even remember. But anyways, we ran this calculation. Then we would calculate it for like 60 seconds out. And then you would have 60 seconds to punch the number into this box. And you would think that 60 seconds to punch 4 digits into the box is a long enough time. But sometimes it wasn't, because you would press the button and you'd get to the last digit and no, it would just mess up. And you're just like, great, okay, run the calculation again.
It's true. It's true. We were all very happy when the Red Devil box met its maker. So, Elena, looking at all of the wonderful computer controls that you are orchestrating into the system, most of the people on this call will simply swoon at the idea of that system.
Oh, and here's another thing to swoon about. Really, the 60 centimeter is getting a retrofitted TCS in order to go with the new automated domes, which means if you have ever seen the evil, awful, rectangular black box of doom that sits on the side of the 60 and loves to malfunction, that thing is also going away. It's not the devil box, but it has definitely been a doom box in the time that I have been here. And if you've ever tried to pull the cover off to check the soldering connections, you will have seen the most amazing rat's nest of wires and individual resistors and transistors actually soldered into place rather than those nice little microchip boards we have now. All that going away. We might have another ceremony on our hands, actually.
Things have really changed, I must say.
Paul,
yeah.
If I recall, though, isn't it legend that the Devil Box was built by a grad student back in the 70s or 80s by hand?
Yep, that's exactly what it was. It was the second control system for the telescope. The original one from Competition Associates apparently was even worse. And yes, it was a grad student's project, a master's project in the 70s to create what we now all remember as the Red Devil box. I dare say it probably worked a little better in the 70s, Ted. At least I hope so.
That actually makes it a little bit better, in my opinion. Now that I think about it, because when I was trained on the Red Devil box, I remember walking through it, and it could have been Leanne or Ted or someone or Paul, and I never got the hang of it. Not once. I did not spend enough time with that box to get it, and I kept thinking, like, how is this thing so bad and so hard to use? And knowing that it wasn't something that actually was delivered by a company but was a grad student project actually kind of makes it a little better in my head. Is that just me?
No, I see your point. Okay. Was the little teal Post-it still on it when you were learning?
I don't know.
Because if it is, that's amazing. Because that went up in there, like, that went up in my time. That was Monica Kellerman that put that up there.
We tried to keep the number pad, but when Elena and I were sort of clearing things out of offices and our storage rooms, I had a good look for that keypad and could not find it. So, sorry, there is no memento left of the Red Devil box.
Just memories.
Just
well, we still have the old Galaxy glass slides, so that's all we really need.
Question: did the Blue Meanie make its exit the same time the Red Devil box did?
No, that came a little bit later, but it was a lot heavier, if you recall, Ted. So we did not carry that one down as a unit. It had pieces that were absconded by the electronic shop, and then the rest of it disappeared.
Well, and speaking of absconded pieces, actually, that's something we can tie into our old domes as well, because both the old motors and several other components of our old domes were not just recycled, but also absconded with by facilities for other purposes.
Does that include the car batteries that powered the
No, no. I still have the car battery.
But you don't have a car.
I don't know. I don't have a car, but I have the car battery and the solar panel and the electronics. So, yeah. Ask me later about our emergency clothes for the new domes.
To me, though, speaking of the new domes, one of the most satisfying aspects of the new domes, and again, many on the call will concur with this, these domes don't rain. They are watertight. They are snow-tight. You can stand in there during a blinding rainstorm and not fear for every piece of equipment and telescope in the house.
Yeah, you mean we don't have to get the shovels out?
We don't. The shovel has gone, Leanne.
I'm going to miss making snow angels in the floor of the dome after a good snow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, this last winter we had a lovely pile about 5 centimeters high in the 60. That is no longer a possibility. Thank God.
Like many of us on the call, like I was a TA in the observatory, so one of my jobs was to support undergrads coming in here to do their coursework. And so I would run 2 or 3 trainings per semester on like coming up, how do you turn the telescope on, open the domes, all these kinds of things. And in the winter, if it was a winter month, you'd stand on the ledge or the top of the stairs outside and be like, okay, everybody, we're about to walk in, but there's snow everywhere. Stay on the carpets or you will fall. The slipperiest floor imaginable. Stay on the carpets.
The memories. What can I say? Speaking of memories, back in 1994, July 16th, that was the impact date of the first piece of Comet Schumacher-Levy 9. This was, of course, the comet that was shredded by the Jovian gravitational field, changed its orbit, and then brought these sort of 26-odd 1-kilometer diameter boulders, flying into Jupiter's atmosphere at 60 kilometers a second, give or take. And everybody on the planet Earth, of course, wanted to see this happening for real. The 60 centimeter was called into service, not because we needed the light gathering power, but because the observing for Jupiter was dead west. Literally, Jupiter was on the western horizon, and the then 30 centimeter telescope, which is in the dome now where the 1 meter telescope is, the 30 centimeter telescope could not see through the 60 centimeter dome, so we had to use the 60 centimeter telescope. And we were watching through the guide telescope, actually, these impacts on Jupiter, and the interest level from the public was enormous. We had lineups that were out the door, down the corridor, and well and truly into the Petrie Science and Engineering building. Lineups for basically 2 hours or so, wanting to watch those impacts. That was literally 28 years ago.
Amazing.
Definitely one of the main observations. Jesse, were you here for the Mars Mars opposition in 2003?
No, I was just getting started on my undergrad at Mac at the time, so I didn't get here till 2007 or 2008 or something like that.
Okay, what about you, Ted? Were you here for 2003?
Nope, just missed that one, though I did see it from an observatory I was volunteering at in Ohio, that eventually led me to York, so...
Excellent. Well, I actually saw it in an observatory in Arizona, which eventually led me to York. So there we go.
Brilliant.
I also just missed it because that was the year I graduated.
Yeah, you left.
Yeah. I mean, I would have loved to have been here, but I was moving to Ottawa, so...
I mentioned that because that was, of course, another event that captured the public's imagination. We were open from Monday night through Thursday night, all 4 nights in a row. We actually had 4 dead clear nights in August of 2003. And we had 3,500 people visit the observatory over those 4 nights. We were operational from around about 8:30 in the evening through to 3 a.m. in the morning. There were people lined up down the Petrie corridor into the chemistry building and out to Tim Hortons wanting to look through the telescope. And we had all of our portable Newtonians set up on the Arboretum roof with, of course, a stack of people there. It was a crazy 4 nights. We were planning to be open on the Friday night, but the entire observatory team obviously were wishing for rain because it rained on the Friday and we called it off.
That's an incredible amount of people.
It was.
It's interesting to see as well with the in-person tours. You do get so much more sort of interactivity, and it's great to be able to send things to YouTube like we are tonight. But it's even better if you can do it as a joint event. And I think our best YouTube event was the Grand Conjunction, which was actually 16,000 people on YouTube.
Wow.
But, you get so much more in person. The next one we do, we should be able to get, even more.
Jesse, you and I were on for that one, as I recall, December of 2020?
Yeah, 2020, the Grand Conjunction Super Observatory YouTube event.
I remember that because that was right in the middle. That was like one of the first big astronomical events I remember during the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
That's it was right at the end of 2020.
It was just after the closest approach of Mars. So the Mars was the first real big pandemic event, and then the Grand Conjunction.
And that conjunction was awesome. They were so close together. Absolutely beautiful. And I love conjunctions because it reminds you, for me at least, it really reminds you like the three-dimensionality of the solar system, right? Because, one planet is this far away from the sun, one other planet is this far away from the sun, but they're all just like lining up. And you're seeing like this grand distance in like millions and millions of kilometers, all in a perfectly straight line. It's wild.
You're speaking to the converted there, especially for Dr. John.
I was going to say, while we're mentioning history, the 2012 Venus transit, I believe we had a special OPV for that.
We did indeed, absolutely. I think it was in June, early June, and the skies were nice and clear for it. I seem to recall that we had portable telescopes set up as well as the main dome.
Yes, I think that was first week of June.
We had some in the 60 centimeter dome, but using the refractor.
Yep.
We had a separate refractor set up on that. And I think we had an H-alpha solar filter on that. And we were also doing the 40 centimeter. We weren't actually going to have people coming in, but we had so many people that we ended up having people in to the 40 centimeter.
we had them all down in the chemistry courtyard. Yes,
yeah.
so I
and it
know.
was broadcasted campus-wide live, wasn't it?
Yeah, we still had the campus television system operational at that point. Quite correct. Lots of nice events that you all participated in. And obviously it goes without saying, Elena and I can't do all of these things without all of the wonderful help from the observatory team. And most of the hosts tonight were members of the observatory team before they became hosts or as they became hosts. So, tip of the hat.
Oh yeah, we love our observatory team. They're the best.
They feel like
that's for sure.
Elena, we've got 2 or 3 audio recordings. Do you want to try and fire one of them up? So bring in.
I'm gonna have Sana. Sana should be on this. So can you grab that audio recording and fire it up for us?
Okay, so I'm just starting up with one from Jen. Let me know if you can.
Happy 500th, York Universe. You guys have a very exciting roster of hosts tonight and a lot of amazing topics. One of which is definitely going to be the James Webb Space Telescope images that recently got released. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, make sure to look it up online. You'll see amazing photos. Do a comparison between the images from the James Webb Space Telescope versus the Hubble telescope. It's phenomenal. One of my favorites from those images that was released is the deep space image. Every single dot in that image is actually a galaxy. It kind of makes you wonder and reflect on yourself, one person on a rock, Earth, orbiting one star, the sun, and in comparison to this image that you're seeing billions and billions and billions of galaxies and stars. Anyway, happy 500th.
Jen, just for the record, was one of the prime movers for the calendars, Elena. Our first calendar back in, I think it was 2013 or 2014, she was the spearhead who wanted to make it happen.
So we can blame her for this.
She sent that, by the way, from Italy. She is on holiday just prior to getting married.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, so that was Jen Zomideris. Who else do you have there, Sana? And by the way, hi, Sana. I didn't realize you were on the call.
Hi, I've got Dorsa here too.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Dorsa. So, number 2.
All right, this is Ryan.
This is Ryan Marciniak. Congratulations, York Universe, on 500 episodes. I've been thrilled to be a part of so many amazing episodes over the years, and I remember back to when we were called Live at York U. I remember the 150th, 200th, 300th, and 400th episodes. And now, with 500, I suppose the next quest is for 1,000. I've had the pleasure of hosting for many, many years, but the power in York Universe is that it's great for new, younger hosts to come on and develop their presentation skills, experience what it's like to be on a radio show, and share their passion for astronomy and astrophysics. But most importantly, it's fun. It's fun to talk about astronomy and astrophysics with people who are just as passionate about it as I am. It's fun to be on a radio show and pretend that you're a big city radio host talking to the masses over the airwaves. And it's fun to be part of something beautiful and big and exciting, something that I hope continues for many years to come. Thank you, York Universe, for so many great episodes, and congratulations on 500. Here's to the next 500.
We're going to hold you to that, Elena, by the way. Next 500.
Yeah, I noticed that you sort of skipped 6, 7, 8, 9.
Ryan, of course, as Jesse will know, Mr. Curiosity Corner himself. Shortly after the Mars rover landed in 2012, he gave us our Mars updates regularly. And now, of course, is Mr. Astronomy in action himself. So he's done great things in astronomy outreach.
Yeah, Ryan started that Curiosity Corner thing. We were roommates. That was my first apartment in Toronto, living with Ryan, and he started that to add to the show. And just as his voice comes across so nicely, and he's such a good storyteller, so it was nice to hear him.
Very good indeed. Okay, and I think there is one more to go there, Sana.
Yep, we have Sandy.
Hello, York Universe listener. My name is Sandy Shu. I was a staff member at the L&I Carswell Astronomical Observatory in 2000. This is such an exciting opportunity to be able to be on the 500 episode and share my awesome memory while working there. During the early 2000s, the technology wasn't as great as it is now. Distant control of the telescope and the dome was still under a testing stage. A full observation section means that we have to physically be there to align the telescope with alignment star, and then calibrate the telescope with its coordination box so the computer program knows where the telescope is pointing at. Finally, we can drive our telescope to our target. And then at the end of the observation section, we need to physically be there again to shut down everything and put the telescope and the dome in a safe position. And because of the time limitation, we usually only be able to collect 2 brightness cycles of our target variable star. This is so sad. Since the observation team needs to stay for the whole observation period in person, and this is quite a memory to spend many, many hours with other staff friends with all the fun games and pranks while waiting for the data to be collected. But at the same time, it also pains me to know the occasional difficulty to finding a staff to man the observation during the exam period, and that we end up giving out perfect observation nights. On the other hand, I also was happy to see the new technology help the public outreach through the live sections in the dome. It's so much more exciting to be able to chat with anyone who's interested regarding the weather condition. In the 2000, while I was there, it was almost guaranteed that the public viewing staff would sit around and Twitter our thumb during the rainy public viewing section. It is so boring sometimes. But anyways, I am very fond of these memories. Until this day, I was always amazed how much Professor Delaney was trusting a few young undergrads to own this equipment without supervision. I'm also so glad to see the observatory is now in full distant control and make the data collection so much easier now. My time at the observatory is the most unique experience I had, and I never will forget and forever grateful for the skill and the friendship I got from the dome. Thank you for your time to join us here in the Yoga Observatory, and hope you'll always be able to stay close to astronomy. Thank you.
Blast from the past, and as Sandy indicated, back in those early days, and we'll go back even further than that, in the 90s, to be able to collect your data required basically in the wintertime around-the-clock type of observation. You would be observing at 6 o'clock in the evening, and you would stay literally until 6 o'clock the next morning, collecting 12 hours worth of data. Long nights for the team at that point in time.
Indeed, and that's actually one of our great successes going forward with these new domes. With full automation, we actually have a programmable interface that's going to be, and wait for it, Python fans, in Python. Yay! Which means you'll be able to write scripts, and if you're sure that you've set it up correctly, you can have a script to open, do your observations, and close, and the weather station will actually have an automatic close in case of rain or storms. So you'll still get to come up and see the observatory, but you won't have to stay up until 6 a.m. every night.
I mean,
Campus is very pretty at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I was going to say that sounds very wonderful, but some of my fondest memories of working at the observatory was being there at 12, 1, 2 a.m. and getting the observations and then the long drive home. It was kind of a magical time.
Oh, yeah, you'll still be able to do that. But then if you keep going,
just don't have to touch any buttons. Yeah.
But, Leanne is right. I mean, in many ways, to me, some of my fondest memories of observing in general are literally at all hours of the day and night and grappling with the telescopes. It's one of those rites of passage, so as to speak, and memorable.
It definitely is. I remember having to pack, I know you say no food, but we had to pack our cup of tea or coffee and all of our snacks to be able to last till 3 whenever the variable stars, whatever our window was, and that was it. That's what we had to do. And then you shut it down, half exhausted, and try and drive home.
And who remembers those epic card games and euchre and stuff while that was going on?
I've still got some of those old packs of cards. And Elena, when we were cleaning out the storage room, didn't we find a Monopoly game or something?
I don't think so.
Maybe I found that earlier.
I think you had that earlier. We found a lot of really cool old stuff. Not so much games, but lots of activities. Lots of fun, interactive stuff that we can build, like the comet, all the comet stuff.
Yes.
The different sized balls to throw into things for cratering.
That's right, exactly. All of our science rendezvous material. Almost everybody here, I suspect, has made a comet. I mean, Jesse's made 1,000 of them, I'm sure of that. And Julie, probably.
Yeah.
Speaking of cold things.
But not here.
Yes.
Speaking of cold things, what's the coldest anyone's ever observed in the dome?
I don't have a number off the top of my head. Frozen toes is all I remember.
You know what? I got pretty acclimatized. I would come to the middle of winter, observing PV shifts in just a hoodie and scarf and mitts and hat.
You're built for it.
Well, I'm not anymore, I'll tell you that.
Well, it's also like a sauna in here right now, so
That's true.
hard to imagine coldness.
Ted, you're probably thinking minus 20 Celsius, though, or so, right?
Actually, I do remember a run. I do remember a run where it was negative 20 and hung up tarps in the warm room, front and back, and we had all the heaters gathered in the warm room, and it still wasn't enough in that little space.
That's music to your ears, Elena. That's why you created that new concertina door.
Yeah, that's actually that was the first thing I put in, was that magnetic curtain door, and it's actually amazing at trapping the heat.
You kids are so spoiled nowadays.
Yeah, you know, the undergrads might not be suffering enough, but then again, also I'm not, so. One of the
When we went to the dome in my day, we had to climb up the stairs both ways.
One cold related or space heater related thing that I do remember was it was a colder night, so we had the space heater running in the warm room, and when we were trying to move the telescope, so we would get, do the whole devil box thing, like everything's all set up and okay, we're ready to go, and we would get to the point where it's time to move the telescope to the object. We would go to slew over, and then the power would cut. And it's like, okay, so you start over, you get everything, and then you go to do it again, and the power cuts. And we tried it a third time, and we're like, and it happened again. And we're like, okay, no, we've now spent 2 hours trying to do this. Forget it, we're going home. And then facilities came up and was like, oh, the problem is this space heater.
Yeah.
It's making the breaker go, no. Like,
Actually, we installed new power outlets, which are dedicated power outlets and not connected to any other devices. And we actually had facilities come in and label all the power outlets, which you wouldn't think is amazing, but it actually is, because you can plug your space heater into a dedicated outlet and it'll never overload your other devices.
This is fantastic.
This is my favorite thing about the new domes.
This is just making me feel like Paul just wants to torture us all for all those years.
Hey, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault.
Speaking of torture, I still have to play you some sounds.
Go for it.
All right, let's play some sounds. All right, so we're in the new domes. I'm gonna try this cross audio video thing. I've turned on the camera, so people on YouTube can see part of it. And what we'll do is we're going to go over and spotlight my video. And then I'm going to go and play you some sounds of the dome. So can you guess what this sound is? Is that too loud?
Do it again. Well, I know what my guess is, but I'll let somebody else guess first.
Can you guess what? Well, obviously, Julie and Jesse can see what I'm doing, but.
Anybody else want to guess?
It must have been something after my time.
I was gonna say it's giving the dome a good pat on the back and say, good job.
You're close. I'm turning on. I'll tell you, I'm turning on power mains of the new domes. They've got this real chunky, massive on-off power switch, which actually cuts all power for everything from like the cement base on up. And it's great because it turns off everything all at once. So if you need to do emergency off, you can just go choke.
So basically, the on-off switch.
Basically, yes.
No, see, for us, the sound would have been lots of clicks and screaming. Back in my day.
This is main power disconnect for the new Ash domes. 220 volts on and off. And there's an orange band running across it that actually carries the 220 volts all 360 degrees around the edge of the dome, so that no matter where you are, you can connect to shutter power and rotation power.
Turn the dome around and make sure that the thing is in the skis and the connection gets made.
All right. For this next one, I'm not sure how loud of a sound this is going to make, But Julie, you want to come over here? Yeah. And Jesse, can I get you to move that ladder towards the stairs? All right, so if you just go like
okay.
that.
Oh my gosh.
Do you hear anything?
I was going to say, dead silent.
This is too fun.
Okay. Can you guess what's happening?
You're moving the telescope.
You're right.
It's actually Julie was moving it
with the 60.
with one finger.
I was using two, but
Two
here,
fingers.
I'll push it back with one.
One finger.
Which telescope are you moving?
The 1 meter. You know, like.
Oh, that's why we can't hear it.
That's right. They're showing off. Yes, it's dead silent, and it is so well balanced that, as Julie said, 2-finger motion, and you can move it in any direction you want. And she is not going to be straining her fingers.
The only sound is the sound of happiness that the astronomers make while moving it.
Gotcha. It's not like the sound of like dolphins laughing at us the way the old scopes used to.
The 60 centimeter in the depths of winter sometimes sounded like, you know, a dying beached whale. I mean, you know. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it has actually been rebalanced. The 60 centimeter is on its way to new TCS, and we rebalanced it and found out it was actually hugely overweighted on one side. So the RA gears are now way smoother. It's not nearly as sad in RA as it used to be. Speaking of, I have another 1 meter sound for you all to guess.
Oh, beautiful.
Is that something opening?
I think it's probably the dome rotating, but it could be a dome opening.
I think dome rotating.
I'd go with rotation as well.
Yeah.
I go with rotation.
All the way across. There's not so much as a piece of gravel for it to hit anywhere at the moment. So congratulations, you have all passed the New Dome sound quiz.
With varying degrees of success, yes.
With varying degrees of success.
I'm going to have to bring this party to a bit of a close here. We're at T-4 minutes. So, around the horn for last brief comments. Ted.
Well, again, it's just been wonderful to be back here and to see that, again, the ball is still rolling, and thanks to everyone that's kept it doing so.
Dome is rolling too. Leanne.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for having me. You've made me very envious of all the new undergrads and grad students that get to play around with all the new technology. It sounds wonderful.
It is. Sarah. Maybe we've lost Sarah.
Yes,
oh, no.
She had to leave early.
Okay, that's fine. Not a problem there at all. Ian.
Yep, thanks for having me. It was great to be back again. Congratulations on the 500th episode. And I do actually want to stop by and see all the new toys that you have there. I actually haven't seen any of it yet since COVID shut it all down. So
we will talk offline, mate, and make sure it happens.
Yeah, next in-person tour is Wednesday at the atrium. You're all invited.
Dr. John. Might have lost him as well. Okay, that's fine. Julie.
Yeah, this has been so much fun. 500th episode. Great excuse to come finally see the 1 meter telescope. Woot woot.
Yay!
Not a problem there too. Jesse.
Oh, this has been so much fun actually being in the dome, seeing all these new toys. And I want to echo what Ted said. It was a lot of fun working on this stuff way back in the day, but it's so amazing to see everybody keep pushing that ball forward. It's incredible.
I agree wholeheartedly. Sana, you should get in a word here.
This was a lot of fun, just hearing all the great stories from the observatory. It's been very interesting, very entertaining. So happy 500th episode.
Sana is the only other person on this call who saw both the 1 meter descend into place as well as the domes.
It was awesome, both of them.
Elena.
Yes. Live long and prosper. No, wait. This is awesome, and you're all invited as soon as we can open it. We totally will. For the next couple in-person tours, we'll be at the Arboretum Parking Garage roof, our atrium location. And this is just too much fun not to share. So looking forward to the next 500, sure.
Including the 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, gotcha.
Yes, exactly. We'll do something for 600 anyways, but yeah.
For everybody out there listening, you've been listening to York Universe, the weekly broadcast of astronomy and astrophysics out of the Alan I. Carswell Observatory located at York University in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Myself, Paul, and the plethora of folks who have been joining us tonight. Thank you all very much for joining us on this, our 500th episode. It has been a very special run for over 12 years. We've all enjoyed it. Not everybody could make it tonight, but hey, Elena can sort that out for the 600th for those people who are missing it. Please stay tuned for the rest of Science Night in Canada, Western World, Science for the People, Quirks and Quarks. And of course, York Universe will be back next Monday evening. Good night.
Good night.
We hope that you've enjoyed this program from AFM Radio, the broadcast service of Astronomy.fm. This program has been Creative Commons licensed. Please contact us for details. You may find more of our AFM original programs on our website. It's really easy to find us. We are Astronomy.fm. You may also find us in the iTunes radio listings near the top of the News Talk section, and also as an iTunes podcast selection. We'd love to hear your comments. Please email us at radio@astronomy.fm. Thanks so much for being part of the voice of astronomy around the world and across the known universe. This is Astronomy.fm Radio.